Welcome to the 2-Act Podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Gothjon. Who else am I speaking with?
Hello. I'm your other co-host, Adi.
Awesome. So we're going to go into something very different than our regular recording. We're going to go into an anime called Madoka Magica. I'll give a brief synopsis, and then I'll ask you what you thought of it. So generally, it's a creature named Kyube offers Madoka and Sayaka a wish to become magical girls, and they fight these abstract beings called witches. However, a magical girl named Homura, for certain reasons, is determined to stop this agreement. So what'd you think of Madoka Magica, Adi?
I had mixed feelings. It was interesting. First time I've seen an anime in the magical girl genre, so that was interesting. I liked the art style. That was really impressive, but I felt like it took me a while to really get into the story, and I felt like there were a lot of subplots with characters. But that being said, I really liked how dark this show was. And I think it was an eerie blend of seeing like a theme on magical girls, which would on surface come out across as positive. But then the deeper it went to explore these characters and like what's happening around them, the darker it got. And I thought that was really interesting. In fact, I thought the ending was the last few episodes were probably the best of the entirety of the season. And this being said, I've only seen 12 episodes, which is the first season. I'm aware that there's a film, and so I'm basing my observations purely on what I've seen on these 12 episodes. So, like I know there's more stuff to the canon, but I'll leave that for you to add into.
Sure, absolutely. So a brief explanation of what a magical girl anime is. I know you previously hadn't watched any. So it's a fantasy anime where girls that possess magical abilities, which are typically, they use them through like their alter ego. Sometimes in the shows, they'll like don an outfit or like a mask to hide their true identity, like Sailor Moon or like Tuxedo Mask. And this anime does technically fall into the magical girl genre, but it's kind of on a class of its own. Not every magical girl anime deals with just despair and just ultimate darkness.
True.
So
I know a lot of observations that I found about this show was that it stood out for being darker than what the genre usually has to offer, and that it was something different where it subverted expectations. So I guess, I mean, obviously I've not seen a lot in this genre, so I couldn't say whether it fits the mold or breaks the mold, but it was interesting. I felt like I do have a question for you, though.
Sure.
Gun to your head. Who got friend-zoned harder? Homura or Sayaka?
Homura. Well, Sayaka. Okay. So Sayaka probably got friend-zoned harder because Homura is from a different timeline. Spoilers for Madoka Magica.
Oh, we forgot about that, didn't we?
Yeah, that's okay. It's an anime from 2011. If you haven't watched it,
It's your
what
fault.
are you doing? Yeah, it really is. The spoilers, episode 3, have been on the internet for a very long time. It's that infamous episode 3 that was so infamous that they didn't add the writer to the credits until after it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Gen Orobuchi is the name of the writer, and he's known as like the Orobuchi or Slayer because he's known for killing characters inside anime. And It was when this show was airing, everyone in the anime community lost their shit because they were like, "Oh, it's a cute anime girl show. It's a little dark, it's a little what's going on?" And then one of the characters gets their head bitten off.
Yeah, mommy.
Did you see that coming from anywhere?
I did not see that coming, but I was not as appalled or shocked as the online community was. Again, I must emphasize that maybe it's this thing where the genre just works in a different way, where people are used to the way the mold is. But I that being said, I did like the death. I mean, I felt the manner of the death, the way the death was shown, was impressive, because there's no blood, and the way they shot that scene, or the way they created that art style of that scene, was you don't see the head being cut off by the witch in the frame, and it just happens, and it does have a shock factor to it, so I'll give it that. And I like that they did that, because I think the first 2 episodes I just didn't feel like I had anything to hook onto, like in terms of like plot points. But I felt like that was a plot point with a plot device for Mami being like killed off. But ultimately, I think it worked, I guess. But the art style was really cool. I like the transition to the labyrinths. It did feel otherworldly. It felt like I was watching a fucked up version of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that is definitely one of the things that you remember about this show, is how like trippy and like otherworldly those scenes are, and then how the character designs in the witches and all the other like little creatures that are crawling around. It's very intriguing and makes you wonder, what's going to happen in this labyrinth. Is somebody going to die? Like after that episode 3, all bets are off. Like even the main character could just die, just because that's the kind of show this is. Along lines with that awesome art style, it's very out there. I really like the soundtrack of this anime. It's got a lot of bops. It's got a lot of songs that really let you live in the moment. What'd you think of the soundtrack, Adi?
Yeah, no, I liked it. I liked the soundtrack. It had variation. It was repetitive at a few moments, but I thought it did elevate the storyline across the whole series. And I was also quite, I don't know what it was, but the architecture of the scenes, the buildings, the halls, the classrooms, the spaces they were in, there's something like surreal about it. Like the real world felt very surreal, if that makes sense. There's this loads of wide shots of like vast open, like the classroom
like
they're in.
The classroom, that's
huge.
It was definitely different.
I've never seen an anime have that sort of architecture surrounding its world like that. So I was really, it did catch my eye, and I was gazing upon it, being enchanted by this world. And I thought the character designs were also really good. Each magical girl felt distinct. I felt like Homura looked cool. Sayaka had a pretty unique look when she turned into a magical girl, and there's literally nothing I can fault with when it comes to the animation and the music as well. I thought they were both top tier.
So going to characters, who's your least favorite girl? I guess even guy.
Least favorite. That's interesting. Yeah. I guess probably Sayaka.
Yeah, that's mine too. Yeah, Sayaka is my least favorite girl in the show, but you kind of feel for her a little bit, just watching her be miserable. She's such a, like she says, in the show. She's so stupid. She's just pushing all her friends away, and you're just like, oh my god, you're so stupid. She's so unlikable. She's selfish garbage, and she is like a plot device that shows you what happens to a magical girl when they meet their despair ending instead of just dying.
Yeah, I don't know. It's fascinating because, look, I mean, there's a lot of characters who are naive, and there's a lot of melodrama which I don't like. Maybe I'm just not a fan of those genres or a fan of those emotions where they derive that. But that being said, I mean, Sayaka, you got to realize at the end of the day, they're like middle school girls or high school girls.
Yeah, they're like early high school, late
barely
middle
high school. So they're not really mature enough to understand their actions, and a lot of their choices can come across as naive and selfish. So at first I did have a gripe with that, but then when you obviously take into consideration that they're just like schoolgirls, it kind of makes sense why they're being preyed upon by Kyubei, who is another very interesting character that I'm sure we'll get into. But with Sayaka, like obviously, like she crushes hard for this dude who's
Kyosuke,
the violinist, who is injured his hand. It's not explained how really, but
no.
Also, I felt like that was a weak part of her character where she was like clearly having a crush or having affections for him because she cares about him, but he's like completely cold and shut off because of his own issues. And then there's moments where like you can see like the friendship between Madoka and Sayaka is very important, but I think there was one episode I couldn't stop laughing when I saw it. I think Sayaka has like a fight with Madoka and tells her like to go away and like you're not my friend, and then literally 30 seconds later she's like, I'm so stupid. Why did I say that? And I'm like,
no, you are stupid.
And I just couldn't help but chuckle at those moments. And there were loads of moments where I just thought like it kind of makes sense why this crazy cat-looking creature keeps wanting to prey on these girls and turn them into magical girls. That's the whole, I would say, the hook, isn't it? It's that it has the ability to offer you to be a magical girl, but there's this other mysterious character called Homura Akemi, who's a new transfer student in Madoka's school who's against the idea. And turns out she's also a magical girl. Now, I felt like I was most invested in this story when it revolved around that conflict where, oh no, there's a trap, don't fall for that. Like, he's trying to trick you. And there was a lot of like information being withheld from the girls, and it created suspense. Especially after Mami's death, it just made it a lot more interesting to see. But I felt like out of all this, Madoka's character suffers the most because I feel like she's often portrayed as a damsel in distress for a lot of the first 8 episodes, and I didn't like that. I wish she had more of I wish she had more agency in the story, and the thing opens up with her and her mother, and then we don't see any development of that relationship at all until like towards the end. So I just feel like as the season progressed, she just got carried away and became a bit of a side character for these other girls like Sayaka, Homura, Kyuke, if I'm not mistaken. Kyosuke. Sorry. Kyoko.
Yeah, there's so many Ks.
So many Ks.
There's Kyubei, Kyoko, Kyosuke, and then there's Sajimi. You're like, who the hell is that? And that's the green-haired girl that Kyosuke was in a love triangle with.
Yeah, I forgot about her.
Yeah, she's pretty forgettable. She's the one that goes like, "Girls can't love girls," and there's like a whole like subtext of girls being in relationships in this show that isn't quite said out loud, which is fine. That's why
I don't know what that was about, because it clearly felt like there were girls into girls, but the show just didn't want to get into that.
Yeah, I if this show was made today, probably would.
Yeah,
like without a doubt. There's a lot of that in a lot of modern anime. There's just the Japanese have always been very hush hush about
conservative
same sex relationships. Yes, very conservative. Kyoko and Sayaka and Homura and Madoka. If Sayaka is my least favorite character, clearly Homura is my favorite.
I agree.
She's the best. She's the best girl.
She is.
When you find out all that she had to do to keep Madoka from making the wish. So we didn't really go into it. So Kyubey gives you a wish, and it could be anything. But you give basically your soul, and they don't really find that out till way later. And Madoka's like, "Oh, I just want to become a magical girl." And then Homura's like, "You are so stupid. Don't do that." And then even Sayaka's like, "Why would you give up your wish for that?" Like, even Sayaka, she makes a wish. Now, it's like monkey's paw. You kind of find out, like, your wish isn't necessarily going to be the thing that's going to make everything all, hunky-dory. In fact, she makes a wish to heal Kyosuke, which Kyosuke doesn't know that magic's real or anything like that. And then if he did find out, then would he like resent her for giving up her life for that, or
that is just something never explored.
Which is fine. We don't really need to go into Kyosuke. He's so boring.
He is boring. I was like, every time he popped up, I'm like, why am I watching this dude? Like, I don't want to see this guy on screen. He just comes across as a arrogant, like self-absorbed dude who clearly knows he's gifted.
And they're all that age, so I was pretty self-absorbed when I was 14, so I definitely understand that. And then you got Kyoko, who's capital T tsundere, hothead. She just got dealt a really bad hand because her dad was like a religious leader that kind of developed a cult.
Yeah.
You kind of feel bad for Kyoko. You're like, okay.
Yeah. It's she's got a pretty tragic backstory, which I thought you can easily miss upon if you're not paying attention. But it really does explain why she is the way she is, why she's so fickle, why she has trust issues, why she has an eating disorder. So things like that was good to see, that they really put in the effort to make each character feel distinct. But I just felt like, in terms of like the overarching plot, there's just too many subplots that are being explored for the main story, for Madoka's story, because I just hate seeing the fact that for most of this series she was just like a side character going along like with Sayaka or whoever was the magical girl, and like
or
mommy, or like trying to sort of plead and like support, and she's so selfless. And I know that's a big theme, her selflessness ultimately saves the world, everyone, the universe.
Every magical girl through all of time and space, she saves even Joan of Arc, Cleopatra. She saves everybody.
Yeah, that was a nice touch, the fact that it tied into the history of the world. But
and then when you like find out like Kyubey's like alien race have been harvesting these teenage girls for their suffering and transforming it into energy, it's like a whole thing where you're like, shit, this guy really good.
I guess we all knew early on that this cat creature or whatever is not what it seems to be.
No, he could not be trusted.
But I guess the extent of its sinister, like, plan wasn't really gauged upon until it finally revealed what it was and what this whole wish thing was. I think, like, when Mommy died, I mean, I get people will be shocked that she got killed because she was set up to be, like, the mentor or whatever. But for me, I was like, it's only been an episode that we've seen her, so I didn't really feel... Like, I didn't feel for the character. I felt like how the death affected Madoka and the shock that it brought to the story, but I didn't really feel the impact of Mommy's death until it was revealed that magical girls turn into witches.
Yep.
When I got that information, yeah, when that was revealed, I thought that was a pretty big eye-opening moment in the series where, like, oh, this is so kind of sad. You know, they're just gonna, you know, they want to do good deeds as a magical girl, but eventually their fate is sealed. They're gonna turn into a witch one way or the other.
Just like Sayaka did into the Mermaid Witch.
Yeah, and it's interesting how a lot of these characters are based off, like, real tales. Like, I was reading about, like, I think, like, Sayaka is based off a mermaid tale, and I think Homura is based off a Shakespeare character in Hamlet. So they like took inspiration from, like, literature to base these characters upon, which is interesting. But
Didn't know that.
I feel like, yeah, but I feel like there was structural issues with the writing that I had, and I felt like it was only until I reached episode 10, which is the episode that reveals Homura's story, that she's actually not from this timeline. She's able to time travel, and that she's gone through this harrowing, horrifying experience of repeatedly trying to, like, save Madoka. That was a big, like, that got me. I was shocked at that moment. I didn't expect that. Because I was wondering, like, how much longer are they just going to keep Homura, like, in the shadows? And then finally, when that episode came, I was hooked. But I felt like if not for the fact that I had to watch this till the end, I'm not sure if I could... I would have reached to episode 10. And I feel like I wish there was, the ending was a bit planned out, spaced out a bit better, so that the conflict could be explored in the middle rather than delving too deep into, like, side characters and then coming back to the end. I feel like it felt like there was just too little too late saved up for the conflict at the end. And she really only had one episode to wrap it up. That was my only issue in terms of the structure.
Yep. There's even a timeline where all the girls kill each other because they find out what happens when their soul gem gets completely tainted, that they are all doomed to become witches. And then one of the girls just shoots Mommy in the head. She's, like, holding a gun, her magical girl weapon at Madoka, and they all just betray each other, and it's just this ultimate despair.
Yeah.
Like a famous poet once said, being a magical girl is suffering. That's a reference to an obscure 4chan post about a Madoka.
4chan?
Yeah. So something really cute about this anime. They did like a retelling in, like, really terrible retelling of it in text form, and then somebody made a video of that, and then they, like, did all, like, goofy voices and stuff, and they ended it with a rap cover that's talking about all the magical girls, which was
a rap cover.
Yeah, so there's a rap song called Anti Up, and then they have, like, Madoka wearing, like, sunglasses, and then they're all like rappers.
Wow.
It's pretty awesome. It's like, what
Sounds
the hell?
wild.
It is pretty wild. And going back to Kyubey, when I cosplayed Madoka, shocker, I had Kyubey.
Wait, you dressed up as who?
As Madoka.
Oh, okay.
I went full crossplay. Crossplay.
Oh,
I didn't shave or anything. Well, I shaved my face, but I didn't shave my arms or anything. It was just like, whatever. It was awesome. So I did that, and I had a little Kyubey plush.
Oh, nice.
And I remember someone strictly pointing at the plush going, "Oh, you're evil." And I was like, that's right. They watched Madoka.
Let's talk about that. Because Kyubey the cat made a very compelling, omnipresent antagonist. I enjoyed how he tormented the girls and teased fate to Madoka over and over again, even though it kind of felt a bit too repetitive. How he kept I think there was one scene where it was like it was Kyoko and Sayaka fighting.
Yep,
and
Kyoko.
he comes Kyoko. Sorry,
Okay.
I keep fucking that up. My bad. But this so Kyubey goes to plays devil's advocate to Madoka and says, "Oh, magical girls fighting magical girls isn't very good for magic, but you could stop it if you made a contract with me." And
You'd become the most powerful magical girl.
And it kind of reminded me of Rumpelstiltskin from Shrek. Where he's like, sign the contract. And but it was it was a very interesting villain, because you don't expect an adorable looking creature to be alien and I thought the conversations it had, where it was basically explaining to Madoka, like, look, we don't get human emotions because this is not what we're doing here. Like, we're looking at the universe as a whole, and we don't care about like the lives of a few magical girls if it means like it'll give them the power or the energy to do what they need to do.
Right.
So that was very interesting, like, because you're looking at it like it's as if like you take a fairy tale and you try to put logic into it, and the characters in the fairy tale will be like, what? That makes no sense. But that's reality, Not saying that a super crazy evil alien coming in our world will be our reality, but like there's logic to it, which was frightening, and I quite enjoyed that. But that being said, I was a bit underwhelmed that all it took in the end was just for Madoka to wish for powers to undo or erase witches who were magical girls and turn them back. I just felt like, well, if I had that choice, I would just wish for infinite wishes, right? Because technically it can grant you any wish. Right. So what's to say? I just think like a smarter character could outthink Kyubey very easily.
Could be, yeah. Yeah, right before Homura falls into complete despair, Madoka decides on her wish. She's been hemming and hawing about it for 12 episodes. She was going to blow it, and she decides to get rid of all the witches. In doing so, resets the entire reality, like all of known time and space. She becomes god of her own world, and she looks after magical girls. And Homura, she's like, why do I know that name? Madoka. How do I know that name? And then she like runs into like her mom, Madoka's mom, and then like her little brother, and he's like playing in the sand. I always get choked up when I see that damn scene. Just every goddamn time. He's like, oh, it's Madoka. Oh, it's imaginary friend.
That was a very heartfelt scene.
I'm like,
at the end.
I even took out
I kind
my
of wish
glasses.
like I kind of wish like the family, because I can't understand why the writers completely discarded Madoka's family. We spend so much time with Madoka and Sayaka and their relationship. I wish like there was equal emphasis given to Homura's relationship with Madoka, and I know they couldn't because they wanted to save the suspense till the end. But the show literally opens with her and her family, right? That's the opening of the show. So for them to then deviate from that, and I know there's a scene somewhere in the middle where Madoka's mother is worried that she's awfully uncharacteristically quiet and hiding something, and she's not really opening up like she always does. And then I thought that scene where like she's going to the apocalypse and she gets slapped by her mom, and her mom stops her and then lets her go. I just felt like it just felt like they were forced to add that scene, and it didn't.
There's a lot of reasons why people that make anime, they just keep the parents out because they're the hardest to like put in. So generally in most anime where parents are alive, if it's not slice of life, they're going to impede plot. They are going to, no, you can't go out and hang out with your friends in the middle of the night. No, you can't go fight some bad guy in the middle of the night. Like it's a lot of that. There's the stereotype where there's the dead mother or the dead father, or this kid he doesn't live with his parents because he lives really far away or something like that. That's why I was kind of surprised that they even had the parents in this anime.
Yeah, I almost think that it could probably be better if they didn't have it. But again, for realism's sake,
right?
I guess it was important to set up Madoka as a empathetic character. And when I look at her character, the good things that I like is that unlike the other high school girls who are very, I don't know, self-obsessed to an extent, she is very empathetic. She cares about the people in her life, and she reflects the values of selflessness, which is ultimately very important to be a magical girl. So, you know, it almost now makes me question, do you think Kyubey was being honest when he said, or when it said that you would become the most powerful magical girl? Oh, do you think it was just trying to tempt?
I think he was being honest because he could like sense like her what do you call it? Her potential. He could like sense her potential, and he didn't understand why her potential was so great. And then you find out that's just because Homura went back in time so many damn times that she became Madoka's surviving became like the epicenter of all like reality. So that's what gave her that massive potential.
Yeah.
Which, funny thing about that, so I like looked up how many times she went back. So according to some website online that I looked up a while ago, supposedly Homer has gone back so many times that she's 25.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no wonder she looks distinctively different.
Right.
Than
why she's a hardened veteran.
Hardened, she's got a glow up.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure.
She's got a massive glow up.
She used magic to fix her eyes. I'm jealous.
Hey, you could get a LASIK. It'll cost you.
Yeah, there we go. Get a
Won't
LASIK.
involve any magic though.
Yeah, I'll have a nightmare from Final Destination. I'll get a lasered in the eye. There's a spin-off for Madoka. They made a phone game a while ago.
Wow, a phone game.
Yeah, it's called Magi Record. The Japanese game servers are still online as far as I know, but they brought it to the US. I think it lasted like a year and a half, and then I guess they just didn't make enough money, so they turned it off. So they made an anime that's based off of that game, and it uses some of the same characters. They like just show up. They're like, oh, we came from the town over to fight witches, and I guess it's like maybe another timeline. And there's like a whole sister trying to find her other sister plot. That show. You think this show is poorly written in some places and poorly paced? Magi Record will make your head spin.
And that's supposed to be a spin-off.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah,
right?
it's like
Right.
a spin-off. Yep.
Okay.
There is also, like we said earlier, there's Rebellion, which is the third movie, which is a sequel to the original anime. I won't spoil it, but
Actually, do spoil it. I'm
do
curious.
spoil it. All right.
I am
All right.
very curious because
Okay.
for me, like when
So-
it ended, I just felt like you've got these big ideas you want to explore, but ultimately run out of time
Okay.
to really get through it. So what happens?
So, generally, from what I remember, it's been a while since I watched it, but Rebellion, Homura decides in Homura fashion that she's not okay with Madoka going off and becoming a god.
Of
so,
course she's not.
Homura, I don't exactly know exactly how because I don't remember, but she consumes like Homura's Madoka's like god essence and becomes the devil, and then she like watches over Madoka as a devil, and then like their whole thing is like they're coming back to like reset the world. Like Madoka and friends, they're all like trying to fight Homura. And it's
Homura is kind of evil.
She becomes evil, yeah. She becomes evil for her love for Madoka, which is kind of wild. And
Wow.
apparently they're making a fourth movie, and it was announced a while ago. It's set for 2025, so we'll see how that goes. And
So how does Rebellion end?
Rebellion? See, I want to say everything goes back to the status quo, but it's been a while. It's been years since I've watched Rebellion.
Right.
But it's good. Like, it's 10 out of 10 good. Like, that's how good Rebellion is. And I will say, Homura did nothing wrong. She just wanted to be with her girl.
Yeah, but did Madoka know that? Because I'm under the impression she's just a friend.
She eventually figures it out. Like, eventually. Like, they even go back to, like, explaining how many times she went back in time.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. In fact, it's sad that it couldn't just be, like, a second anime, like another season. But,
Why do you
how
think that
goes.
is? Why did they go to the route of
A movie?
going into a film instead of sticking
Probably
to the series?
production costs. It probably costs a lot more money to make episodes than an anime.
But if it was so famous and successful,
Right.
what stopped that from happening?
That's a good question. That would be a lot of research to look up into.
Right. Interesting.
I'm sure licensing. So the studio that animated this is Studio Shaft, and they're known for making Monogatari. That's where you have
yeah.
all those head tilts in the anime. That's their signature.
Oh,
The signature shaft tilt.
that sounds weird. But okay.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. It definitely does. As English speakers, it definitely sounds weird. Yeah, no.
Right.
Rebellion's great. Like I said, I wish I could do more justice to explain exactly what happened, but it's been too long.
Does Kyubey return?
Yeah, he does. In fact, even in Magi Record, he returns, and there's even a little mini Kyubey, like even cuter Kyubey. Yeah, like Kyubey can't die because Kyubey is like self-replicating, like incubator alien.
Yeah, it's just taking on a shell.
Yeah, and then he like eats his shell.
That was
You're like, what the fuck is this cat? Oh my god, he's
weird.
so evil.
That scene where, after Homura shot it down and he eats it up, eats its own self up. Ugh.
Icky.
Eerie character for sure. So, was there anything you like in rewatching it picked up that changed your view on it compared to when you first saw it?
When I watch an anime again, I'm like looking in the background. I'm like trying to notice things I didn't notice before. I'm like, oh, that shirt says that, or something like that. Rewatching this, so I rewatched it. Originally, I watched it in Japanese. I I'll always love the Japanese more, but that's just because that's what I first got subjected to. In fact, I think the Japanese is better performances just all around, but that's just as somebody that watched the Japanese first, you kind of get subjected to that unless it's like apparently really bad.
Okay.
Like the dub was
I would expect that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched the dub and I felt like I should have maybe seen the subbed instead.
Oh, okay, all right. Like I said, it's serviceable. Like it's all right. It's not as bad as watching like a foreign live action film and then watching the dub flaps not match.
Yeah, that's
like
the
that
worst.
Can pull you out of the movie.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
I agree with that.
Yeah, like if I were to watch like let's say a Japanese samurai movie and then they started doing the Godzilla and they're moving their mouth like that peanut butter in it, then I'm not all about that. There's a reason why we try to watch things in the original language.
Yeah, and that should always be the case for as much as possible. You don't want to... I think there is a level of authenticity with watching it in its originally spoken language. But that being said, it's not that dubs are horrible. There are really good dubs out there as well.
Yep. Can name a lot of them.
Like most of my examples come from the 90s, but just because I think back then they really had put in a real performance to capture the characters.
I honestly think dubs have only gotten better. So Panty and Stocking, best dub ever. Ghost Stories dub is kind of funny. Cowboy Bebop dub, Trigun dub, Fooly Cooly dub, like all these Adult Swim shows, all have excellent dubs. Pretty much anything other than so Funimation does a lot of dubs. Almost all their dubs, other than the freaking Dragon Maid anime, is the only one that I will not respect because it went a little too political and started talking about girls with big titties and how like patriarchy and I'm gonna oppone those noobs and the SJWs, like using all these terms that do not and will not hold.
Dragon Maid, what is that?
So Dragon Maid is this anime about it's called Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. It's this cute.
All right.
Yeah, I think I told you about it before. It's this cute.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Cute slice of life show. I recommend the Japanese. It's not something you watch with grandma because it's very fan servicey. There's the Dragon Maid. She's like the maid for this lady that goes to work all the time. And then she comes home. And then they like get into hijinks. They go shopping. It's daily life of a maid. And then you meet all these other dragons, and they sometimes they fight, and sometimes they they have their own little cute things. Like the little dragon girl, she becomes friends with a kindergartner, and they go to school together. And for whatever reason in the dub, they took it upon themselves to put in some current political terms and talking about patriarchy. You should never hear that in an anime unless it's a political anime.
And that's kind of disrespectful as well to like change the context and intonation of putting like Western ideas in that's like it's kind of like cultural appropriation.
Sometimes it's funny. So there's a back in the 90s, Ranma 1/2 was dubbed. And they had an entire episode that did a bunch of wrestling, like American wrestling, like call-outs. They're like, I'm going to give you the Stone Cold Stunner, and now I'm going to give you the Rock Bottom. Like all these like special moves of these male soap opera shows. That shit's funny as hell. Because you're going to be like watching that, and you're going to spit out whatever you're drinking, because you will not see that coming. Like from a million miles away. Yeah. Yeah, if you're gonna do silly localization, at least make it like an abridged series. Like don't put your politics or any of your garbage inside anime. It doesn't need it. It's a comedy anime. What are you doing?
True. So when you look at the dubbing of this anime that we're discussing, did you find any nitpicks with it, or you thought it was all right?
Just some of the acting, like it might have been a little overacted. I understand that they're 14 years old and got a lot of emotions.
Which characters specifically? Because I had a big problem with melodrama and filler,
like Sayaka
and
Kyoko, just really over the top. The funny thing about the dub is there's 3, I think it's Christina's or Christine's, like they're in the dub cast. So Cristina Venezuela does Homura, and I love her. She does.
I really liked Homura's voice.
Yeah, she does a lot of anime. She does a lot. Like if you looked up her IMDb, it'll be full of stuff. She does cartoons. She even did Verasica Mayday on Hell of a Boss. It's a YouTube adult animated comedy. Like there's so much stuff. Like these are all veteran voice actors. It's just some of the when they do they don't read the subtitles. They have to when they record, so they have to kind of match the mouth flaps. So I don't have to reanimate everything. So they'll write out the VOD of exactly what they want to say, and then sometimes it doesn't portray exactly how you want it to. Like if you watched an anime and watched it with subtitles and the dub, 99% of the time it's not going to match.
Yeah, there's a bit of ad-libbing.
Yeah, and that's something you have to do. It's not every word in Japanese will be the same length as English.
No, that's always going to be an issue when it comes to translation, and there's certain phrases and words in Japanese which cannot directly be translated in English.
There's a reason why Monogatari will never get a dub, and that's why there's a lot of play on words in Monogatari.
Yeah,
it's things I don't even understand. I have to pause it to read all the translator's notes.
Yep. You need to really pay attention. That being said, did you have any other thoughts on Madoka?
Homura did nothing wrong. It's been said; it'll be said again. She did nothing wrong. That's for Rebellion.
She never did anything wrong. I mean, in fact, I'll fight to the hills to say that she was the best thing about the show, and her character may be cold and not as warm as the others to get into, but once you see, like I said, episode 10 completely changed my perception, not on just her character, because that was where the show deviated and really got into what she's doing and what her conflict is in this whole story, but also because what it did to the bigger picture. It really gave it that push it needed to reach to the finish line, because up until then we're looking at Madoka and Sayaka's friendship, and then Sayaka having jealousy issues, and then her fight with Kyoko. God damn it.
That's okay, Adi. We will have animes where we will not be able to pronounce their names.
I'm just going to call her the crazy red hair girl.
Red one. Red girl.
Yeah. Her. Yeah, they're fighting okay, let's talk about that then, cuz what did you think of that, where one episode they were fighting, her and Sayaka, and then the next episode they quickly resolve their issues, and then there's this guilt that she feels once Sayaka's turned into a witch, and she wants to try to get her back, even though she knows it's not possible.
Yeah, it is kind of whiplash. I can agree with that. I love this anime, but yeah, I can agree. That's 1 minute I'm hot, 1 minute I'm cold, but that is kind of tsundere to a T.
Yeah, and I didn't like that, what it did to Madoka's character, because this show should be about her. I get the main character can't always be in the spotlight, because of the big plan surrounding them. But at too many moments, I felt like she came across as a side character, and I didn't like that. I don't know why they really kept her like that. Too like I said, damsel in distress vibes.
Right.
Really, constantly worried, constantly crying, constantly being tempted by Kyubey.
At least she's not a guy.
Oh yeah, well,
Could be
I don't
Shinji.
know. I wouldn't want to watch Magical Boys.
Oh, I'd watch
no-
Magical Boys.
no
That sounds
way.
Awesome. They're like Power Rangers. That's basically what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power
Oh, yeah,
Rangers.
yeah.
I guess
No,
we do have Power
I guess,
Rangers.
yeah. Sentai. Yeah, no. Sentai is Magical Boys.
Oh, so there's a real legit show?
No. Okay. So
Alright.
this is like a direct parallel. So there's a genre called Super Sentai, and it's I don't know if you're familiar with Power Rangers, but it's this TV show.
I am, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'm familiar with Power Rangers.
Yeah, there's
Of course I am.
animated versions of that stuff, and that's kind of what that feels like. Magical Boys. You could say that's
Alright.
shorthand.
Yeah, that's. I suppose that's fair. Yeah.
Especially if they're
That-
teenagers.
Yeah, true. I guess that works. But was there any side character or any other character you felt could have benefited from being given more depth
More
or written differently?
written differently. Oh, just get rid of Kyosuke. I don't care about him.
I agree.
Make Sajimi a magical girl as well. Why not? She could be the green one.
And wasn't there a character called Hitomi?
Hitomi?
Or is that, am I
yeah,
tripping?
that's the same girl. That's Sajimi.
That's the same girl, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
I believe.
Oh, okay.
At least I believe so.
Right, and she's the third wheeler who's
Third
clueless of
Make her a
what's
magical
going
girl.
on.
Why not?
And she's the one who actually falls for
Kyosuke.
gets the dude
Yeah.
the dude who's completely obscure of everything around him.
Well, the funny thing is, so she confronts Sayaka. She's like, "Hey, do you like this boy? Because I am about to confess. You need to move your ass." And then Sayaka just.
To be fair, that's true. She did give her a heads up.
She wasn't a bitch about it. She gave her the heads up.
No. She did fair on her part. I think Sayaka is ultimately confused because I'm confused. I don't know if it's actually love or infatuation or is it just affection.
So Sayaka and Kyosuke are childhood friends, and that's like a trope that they're gonna get married. So
Yeah.
in a lot of animes, it's like, oh, you said you were going to be my wife when we were 6 years old. That's going to happen. They'll say something like that. They didn't necessarily show anything like that, but they did mention that they were childhood friends.
Yeah, that was the only thing linking them together. But apart from that, I'm trying to think. No, I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion on their relationship beyond that.
Right.
I just think it was one of the weakest points of the show.
Oh yeah, for sure. It definitely almost felt like filler.
Like all that could have been used to explore. I don't know. Try to like dedicate that time around, coming up with a solution or dealing with Kyubey in a way. Something like that would have been a lot more interesting to watch than just filler or melodrama, which we know is not going to really service the story. Ultimately, it's just passing the time. And I could easily say that they should have made it shorter, but I feel like it's a structuring issue more than anything.
Right.
I don't have a problem with 12 episodes. I just think that they could have written around it better, because quite clearly the last 3 episodes is on a different level. It works much better than from what we see episode 4 to 8, I think, is where it really dragged for me.
Okay.
And I struggled to keep up, but
Yeah.
the ending worked. much better than I was expecting. Because I was just thinking, like, how is it gonna end? Like, will it have enough, you know, time to wrap the story up? And it didn't feel like. I know if there wasn't gonna be a movie, it would have been fine, I guess. But it's like I would have been a bit disappointed because I know that there's potential for more, and like they've spent so much like revolving around these characters that it doesn't feel like that's it. Yeah, there has to be something more to explore. And as you pointed out, that there clearly is another movie in the works. So who knows? Maybe watching it collectively could change how it comes across.
Okay. Yep. So are you ready for ratings, or did you have anything else?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right.
No,
so this is one of my favorite animes. I know it's not perfect, but I think Madoka is a clear definition of a 10 out of 10. Madoka is a masterclass in how to keep the viewer guessing and how to keep you engaged. I know. I just said that after you were like, oh, it's kind of getting dragged on. So you never know how it's going to end. Who the hell knew that she was just going to become God? Like, the show pulls no punches in character deaths, which it's a true death spiral into despair. Like, Madoka, the parts when it's amazing, it just makes you want more. And that's why when that Rebellion movie came out, I just gobbled it up. It came out like the next year. And maybe it was the budgeting. Maybe that's why they had to have some of those slow parts. And that's why that ending last couple episodes were a lot better. So what do you think, Adi?
No, that's a completely fair point. I'm just going to echo a few things that I've already said. And the thing is, look, ultimately I really appreciate the dark undertone, and the like you said, it pulls no punches in character deaths, and I think it is a bold show that it takes those steps with its characters, especially considering this whole genre is not necessarily something you'd see if you're looking for a darker storyline. So the surprise on that experience is a positive one. The only issue, like I said, is, look, ultimately it's things we've seen before, right? The main character has to make the ultimate sacrifice to save the world. Something we've seen many stories do with its main characters. But it was nice to see. What was nice to see, but I felt like the build-up to Kyubey was so good that I was expecting a bit more of a chess match between Madoka and Kyubey. And ultimately, I was underwhelmed that that resolved with just Madoka making a wish, saying that she wants the powers to undo something. I feel like that's pretty logical if you really think to it. But the show has grand themes that explore the mysteries of life and the universe, but it leaves little too late for it to really have a chance to get into those conflicts. It would have been better if those conflicts were brought on to explore earlier, rather than meandering too heavy on character subplots like we spoke about with Sayaka, and I'm not even gonna attempt to name that red-haired girl again because I'm gonna get it wrong. But that being said, I enjoyed the art style. I think this is the first anime I've seen where the change in animation really worked very well, and it deserves its flowers for the music, the character design. The themes were dark at times, and I think Madoka's character, more than that, Homura's character really impressed me. I think she was the best part of the show. But I just felt like if I didn't force my way to watch till the end, I would have not necessarily sat through it, because I feel like the filler and melodrama kind of put me off. But that being said, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think it's a good anime, and the dark tones kind of saves it from being if the show was not if it wasn't bold enough to make those decisions with its characters, I wouldn't even give it a 5.
Huh.
Like, so I thought that clearly worked. And it's a good anime. It's just I feel like could have worked better if it had structural rethinking. And obviously we can't say for sure what it is. It could be, like you said, could be budget, could be whatever. They couldn't. Maybe they knew they couldn't get into those things, or whatever. But it's still a good show. I enjoyed it for a first time viewer in this genre. Like, I've never seen an anime on magical girls, so I like what I saw. I just wish it was written a bit better.
Okay, well
yeah,
said.
that was my...
Wasn't a negative review.
Not negative. Look, it's not negative or I hated it.
I think you're fair.
But I was trying to make it very clear that look, you can make something like, I don't agree with, I get your point of view because you're a fan of it, but I don't agree with when I looked it up. Exactly, when I looked it up, everyone was saying, "Oh, this is the greatest anime I've ever seen. This is a 10 out of 10." And I was like, "Okay, the expectations are high now because everyone's saying this." I can't find, there's no like 50-50 consensus. Like, the whole consensus is positive. So I was like, okay, I'm waiting for something to blow me away, and it didn't necessarily blow me away, although the ending was a lot better than what I expected. But that was just because the middle dragged a bit for me. But that being said, it's still a good show. That doesn't mean it's bad, like flat out bad. It just has its issues, but it still does enough to get to cross over the finish line.
All right, well said.
But I don't know. I'm curious now. Maybe if the film develops on it more, because I just feel like a bit more development could make it stellar. So who knows? Maybe if the film comes out and it really wraps it up and gets the chance to explore the conflicts and not sort of be stuck on trying to just focus too much on subplots, then I could see this being like a big like trilogy or something that you'd want to watch. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Awesome. So we didn't really talk about this, but do you have a recommendation for next time?
I do.
Oh,
I do. So for the next episode, just in time for its 30-year anniversary, I'd like to do a discussion on an anime film called Ninja Scroll. That came out in 1993.
Okay. That sounds good.
Have you heard of it?
There's so many ninja anime. It's like hard to... Give me a
This is
brief...
the ninja anime.
Give me a brief synopsis.
A brief synopsis.
Maybe I've seen it.
It's about Jubei, who's a highly skilled ninja, and he's coerced into slaying his own clan of warriors. After begrudgingly killing his fellow swordsmen, he becomes a roving hired assassin. During his travels, he must face off against an organization of demonic ninjas known as the Devils of Kimon, who are plotting to take power of Japan's government. And the devils will stop at nothing and have the power to annihilate entire villages. So now Jubei and a shogun spy named Daquan must stop them.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually watched Ninja Scroll. I've vaguely heard of it.
So apparently it is a series, but the one that I'd like to discuss is the film that came out in 1993.
1993. Awesome.
Yeah. And it's, believe it or not, this September, it's coming back in theaters this September for its 30th anniversary. So, yeah, it's a classic. I've never seen it as well, so
Okay.
it will be a first time for me as well.
Cool. More anime.
More anime.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
So if you don't want to be spoiled for Ninja Scroll 1993, you should probably watch that before the next time we upload, which hopefully will be sooner than later.
We're back. We're back.
We're back, bitches.
All right. See you then.
Later.